Welcome to Pluviara, where forgotten history comes alive. Carthago delenda est. Cato the Elder's voice thundered in the Roman Senate. Every speech he gave, whether about taxes, trade, or the harvest, ended with those three words: Carthage must be destroyed. For over a century, Rome and Carthage had fought for dominance of the Mediterranean. Two powers, two cultures, locked in rivalry. Rome, the land power, rising from the Italian peninsula. Carthage, the sea power, heir to Phoenician merchants, master of commerce, navy, and wealth. The Punic Wars had already scarred generations. Rome had bled at Trebia, at Trasimene, at Cannae, where Hannibal's genius nearly broke the Republic. Carthage had endured the humiliation of defeat, shackled by Rome's demands, but never entirely broken. And so, by the mid-2nd century BCE, Rome looked across the sea and still saw danger. Though Carthage was weakened, its ships still sailed. Its markets still thrived, its people still dreamed of freedom, and that was enough for Rome to tremble. Cato and his allies argued that as long as Carthage existed, Rome could never rest secure. Rome's farmers remembered Hannibal's elephants trampling Italian soil. Roman veterans remembered years of fear, watching their families threatened while Hannibal camped outside their gates. To them, Carthage was not just an enemy. It was a nightmare, one that could awaken again. And so the call grew louder. Carthage must fall, not humbled, not contained, erased. In 149 BCE, Rome declared war for the third and final time. The pretext was minor. Carthage had defended itself against Numidian attacks without Rome's permission. But the truth was simple. Rome wanted Carthage gone. This was not to be a war of balance or peace. This was to be annihilation, a campaign of fire and steel, designed not to defeat an army, but to erase a civilization. By the war's end in 146 BCE, Carthage would burn. Its citizens would be slaughtered or sold, its temples toppled, its memory cursed. The Sack of Carthage would become one of the darkest moments of antiquity, a genocide remembered not only for its cruelty, but for what it symbolized: the absolute triumph of Rome and the silence of a people who once rivaled it. This is the story of that war. The war Rome never forgot, and Carthage would never survive. Long before Rome rose, Carthage thrived. It was not born Roman nor Greek, but Phoenician. Its founders hailed from Tyre, a great city of the Levant. They were sailors, merchants, and colonists, spreading across the Mediterranean like seeds cast upon the sea. According to legend, Carthage was founded by Queen Dido. Fleeing Tyre, she bargained with a local king for as much land as she could enclose with a single ox hide. Cleverly, she cut the hide into thin strips and encircled a hill. Upon that hill, she built her city, Carthage, the new city. From myth to reality, Carthage became a marvel. Its harbors were engineering wonders, double ports, one for trade, one for war, each able to hold hundreds of ships. Its merchants sailed to Spain, to Sicily, to North Africa, to Britain, trading metals, grain, and exotic goods. Carthage was not a republic like Rome. It was ruled by wealthy families, merchant princes, and a council of elders. It was oligarchic, not democratic, though it valued stability and wealth above all. Its armies were not citizen soldiers, but mercenaries. Numidian cavalry, Iberian swordsmen, Balearic slingers, led by Carthaginian officers. Religion-bound Carthage. The great god Baal-Hamon and the goddess Tanit ruled its pantheon. To them, the Carthaginians made sacrifices, sometimes of animals, sometimes, darkly whispered, of children. Archaeologists still debate the truth. But to Rome, such tales painted Carthage as cruel, foreign, and monstrous. By the 4th century BCE, Carthage controlled much of North Africa, southern Spain, Sardinia, Corsica, and parts of Sicily. It was the dominant naval power of the Western Mediterranean. When Rome was still a small city-state on the Tiber, Carthage was already an empire. But empires invite rivals, and Rome, restless and ambitious, would not stay small forever. The first clash came in Sicily. Rome, expanding southward, found itself entangled in Sicilian politics. Carthage, long established on the island, opposed Roman influence. What began as local conflict grew into a full-scale war, the First Punic War. For over 20 years, Rome and Carthage struggled for dominance of Sicily. At sea, Carthage was supreme. Its ships, its sailors, its naval traditions. Rome had no answer. The Romans were farmers, not seafarers. Yet necessity drove innovation. Rome captured a Carthaginian warship, studied it, and built fleets of their own. They added the corvus, a boarding device, turning sea battles into land battles fought on decks. The war was brutal, grinding. Sicily became a graveyard for armies. Thousands died in sieges and battles. Rome suffered defeats, but learned, adapted, endured. Carthage, confident in its navy, grew complacent. In 241 BCE, at the Battle of the Aegates Islands, Rome triumphed. Carthage, exhausted and bankrupt, sued for peace. It surrendered Sicily, paid a heavy indemnity, and ceded its dominance. Rome had won its first overseas war. Carthage had lost its jewel. The balance had shifted. But Carthage was not finished. It still commanded wealth from Spain and Africa. And among its sons was a man who would shake Rome to its core, Hannibal Barca. The peace after the First Punic War was fragile. Carthage, humiliated, faced crisis at home. Its unpaid mercenaries revolted, leading to the bloody Mercenary War, a conflict so savage that even ancient historians recoiled. Carthaginian generals crucified rebels, massacred prisoners, and drowned fields in blood. Yet Carthage endured. Hamilcar Barca, father of Hannibal, restored Carthaginian power. He expanded into Spain, carving a new empire of mines and cities. His son, Hannibal, was sworn by oath at a young age to be Rome's eternal enemy. Rome, meanwhile, grew stronger. It seized Corsica and Sardinia during Carthage's weakness. It extended its influence in the Adriatic and beyond. Two powers, bound by rivalry, prepared for another clash. The Second Punic War would become legendary. It began in Spain, where Hannibal, now Carthage's greatest general, besieged Saguntum, a city allied with Rome. Rome declared war. Hannibal responded with audacity. He marched an army from Spain, across the Pyrenees, through Gaul, and over the Alps. With elephants and thousands of men, he descended into Italy. For over a decade, he terrorized the Roman heartland. At the Trebia, he ambushed the Romans. At Lake Trasimene, he annihilated an entire army. At Cannae, in 216 BCE, he achieved one of history's greatest tactical victories. Surrounded on all sides, 50,000 Romans perished in a single day. Rome trembled, allies wavered. For years, Hannibal roamed Italy, undefeated. Yet Rome did not fall. The Republic refused to surrender. It adapted, avoided direct battle, cut Hannibal's supply lines, and struck at Carthage's holdings abroad. Finally, Scipio Africanus brought war to Africa. At the Battle of Zama in 202 BCE, Rome triumphed. Hannibal was defeated. Carthage was spared destruction, but stripped of power. Its fleet was reduced, its empire dismantled, its treasury drained. Rome emerged dominant. Carthage survived, but only as a shadow of its former self. After Zama, Carthage was weak, but not dead. Its people rebuilt, its markets revived, its fields yielded grain. Though shackled, Carthage still breathed. To Rome, that was intolerable. Cato the Elder, an austere statesman, fanned the flames of fear. He ended every speech with, "Carthago delenda est." Carthage must be destroyed. Rome's allies in North Africa, especially Numidia, provoked Carthage with raids. Carthage defended itself, violating Rome's restrictions. This was the excuse Rome awaited. The Senate voted. In 149 BCE, the Third Punic War began. Rome's demands were impossible. Carthage must disarm, surrender hostages, and abandon its city. Carthage, proud and desperate, refused. Its citizens prepared for war. The siege began. For 3 years, Carthage endured. Its massive walls repelled Roman assaults. Its defenders fought with ferocity, hurling missiles, boiling pitch, and fire. Women and children toiled in workshops, forging weapons. Hunger gnawed, but resolve burned. The war dragged on. Rome poured in legions. The Carthaginians resisted, but famine and disease weakened them. In 146 BCE, Rome, under Scipio Aemilianus, broke through. The assault was apocalyptic. Street by street, house by house, the Romans advanced. Flames consumed neighborhoods. Screams echoed in alleys. Carthaginian defenders fought with desperate courage, but Rome's discipline was relentless. On Bursa Hill, the last citadel, the survivors gathered. For days, they resisted. Finally, the walls fell. The defenders were slaughtered. The city burned. 50,000 men, women, and children were sold into slavery. The rest were dead. Carthage, once queen of the seas, was erased. Ancient writers tell that the Romans sowed the ruins with salt to curse the ground. Whether myth or truth, the symbolism endures. Rome stood alone as master of the Western Mediterranean. Carthage was gone, its memory cursed, its culture silenced. But the ruins whispered. Archaeologists still uncover fragments. Coins, pottery, harbors buried in sand. Echoes of a civilization Rome tried to erase. The destruction of Carthage was more than victory. It was genocide. It was the death of a people. It was the warning that Rome, once threatened, would show no mercy. Carthage must be destroyed. And so it was. This was Pluviara, uncovering the secrets of history. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for more epic documentaries. Until next time, keep the past alive.